Today we'll talk about an incident that may have helped curry favor against Marie Antoinette, who was the Queen of France during the time of the Revolution. It's called the Diamond Necklace Affair, and it's a cautionary tale. Now, Frenchmen may say the erosion of royal authority that overthrew France's social order began with the Estates General in 1789. But before that, the first event to display open defiance of royal authority was the Diamond Necklace Affair. This story that launched the French Revolution was one of the most notorious public scandals of history, and involved great fortunes made and lost of avarice, mystery, and intrigue. It pits great forces in French society against each other, but in the end severely damaged the monarchy to the great detriment of both, and destroyed for all time the reputation of the second highest public figure in the French monarchy. And here she is, the Queen, Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette was an Austrian princess when she came to France at age 15 in 1770 to marry the crown prince. She and her husband, Louis XVI, were still teenagers when they ascended the throne in 1774. And unlike her shy, awkward husband, Marie Antoinette was admired for her legendary beauty, grace, and elegance, and her taste, which set fashion trends for Europe. She took great pride in her appearance and in her ancestry as a princess of Habsburg, the oldest royal house of Europe. So remember, she comes from the oldest royal line in Europe. Her arrogance brought resentment, though, from old nobility of France, a country which had been at war with Austria for much of the 18th century. So the 18th century is the 1700s, okay? Marie Antoinette also attracted gossip for her inability, due to Louis' impotence, to become pregnant and produce an heir to the throne. And in those days, that was a very big deal. You had to produce an heir. I mean, you saw what happened to the wives of Henry VIII when they couldn't produce an heir. So, she was renowned for her youthful disregard of court etiquette and for her frivolous and costly lifestyle. This lifestyle included gambling, masked balls, late-night rendezvous, and rumors of her having had numerous affairs, all done very extravagantly. Let's look at the noblemen involved in the Diamond Affair. Now just think the backdrop is 1784, and a great nobleman and a woman swindler who dupes him. They are part of the story as well. The nobleman, Louis René Edouard de Rohan, was the Cardinal of France and son of one of the oldest and most famous noble houses. However, he had a problem. He was a disfavor at the French court. The Queen's mother, Marie Therese, did not like Rohan, frivolous dandy, when he served as a diplomat to Austria. Remember, she's Austrian. After her mother scorned him, Marie Antoinette refused to receive Rohan and had not even spoken to him for a number of years. So for 10 years, he longed to become a member of the Queen's close circle. Now let's meet the swindler. The woman swindler is the Countess de la Motte. She was the daughter of the old and famous Valois family. I have a feeling I'm pronouncing this wrong, but it's V-A-L-O-I-S. But the family had long lost its resources, so at this point, they didn't have money behind the title. She was quite impoverished when she arrived in Paris, but she was also attractive and brazen in her desire to escape poverty and obtain an aristocratic life of comfort and leisure. She sought to enlist the sympathy of the royal court and the fate of a woman from one of France's old houses. She was given to fainting spells at court, and in doing so, she received notice from Madame Elizabeth, the king's sister, provided her with some funding. She was also noticed by the cardinal. By 1784, she had become his mistress, and even though she had not succeeded in obtaining the interest or support of the Queen, nor had she even met the queen. La Motte succeeded in convincing Cardinal Rohan that she was the favor, or she had the favor of Marie Antoinette. Now, look at this necklace. This necklace is about 2,800 carats. First, it was a choker of 17 diamonds, 5 to 8 carats each, and from that hung a 3-wreathed festoon and pendant. So you can see that in the picture. Then came the necklace proper, a double row of diamonds accumulated in an 11-carat stone. And finally, hanging from the necklace, 4 knotted tassels. So it cost about, well, in today's time, it translates to perhaps the equivalent of $100 million. One necklace, close to $100 million in today's currency. Now the jeweler, Charles Baumer, had the beautiful necklace made for Madame du Barry, but Louis XV had died and du Barry was banished from the court. And Baumer placed his hopes on the new queen to purchase the necklace, so he needed someone to buy the necklace. He hoped that Marie Antoinette would be interested. She had modeled it before for her ladies, but would not purchase it or permit Louis to buy it as a gift for her. She said, better to buy a new ship of the line than to spend such a sum on a necklace, regardless of how beautiful. So for once she decides not to do something insanely extravagant. Now the jeweler appreciated La Motte's looks and believed she had the queen's favor and sought her out as an intermediary. Knowing Rohan's keen desire to obtain the queen's favor, La Motte saw her opportunity to trade on the belief of both men and her intimacy with the queen, which was unfounded, to satisfy the desires of these men and also to enrich herself. So she told the cardinal that the queen wanted him to secretly purchase the necklace on her behalf. The cardinal obtained the necklace from Baumer and gave it to La Motte, expecting the queen to pay for it. Of course, Marie Antoinette never saw the necklace. La Motte gave the diamonds to her husband, who took them to London and sold them. La Motte also forged letters from the Queen to Rohan attesting to her interest in the necklace, approving the plan and La Motte's role, and indicating Rohan could expect return to the Queen's favor. Wow, this all led to a confrontation. The jeweler, Charles Baumer, set an invoice for the necklace to Marie Antoinette, and she just discarded it. So he came to Versailles, her palace, and spoke to the servant, Madame Capon, seeking payment. He displayed the forged letters signed by her. Now, he did not know they were forged, and told how Rohan was involved in acquiring the necklace. So now, at this point, Marie Antoinette realizes how serious this case really is, and summoned the jeweler to Versailles. Now, eventually, Rohan the Cardinal was arrested for his role in swindling the necklace, even though he himself was also fooled. The royal couple demanded a trial. They arranged for the arrest of the cardinal, the highest clergyman in France. That is a big deal. In the most public way, handing him the arrest warrant in the Great Hall of Versailles with hundreds present. He was brought before the king and queen, who confronted him with the swindle and would hear none of his professions of innocence. The public arrest of the Cardinal of France had already caused a national sensation, and the acts of king and queen that followed added new fuel to the fire of public interest and imagination. I obviously cannot read this section very well, if you can see it. So, hold on. So at this point we're at the trial, and hopefully you can see these slides. The proud queen demanded public vindication of her good name. The matter could have been handled quietly at the court or by the Vatican, but Louis' advisors suggested caution. Now, unfortunately, the king wavered and agreed to a public trial before the Parliament of Paris. France of 1785 was not used to such public events, so this is an oddity. While rumors of Marie's errant behavior were prevalent in the capital, they now became sensation for all of France. The charge against the cardinal was lèse-majesté, insult to the dignity of the queen. For months the nation was gripped by the mystery of the diamond necklace and the recounting of the queen's reputation that led Rohan to believe she had participated. So her reputation is being besmirched in this trial. This whole thing, this whole public spectacle was unheard of at the time. So the public was very riveted by the accounts and the characters, by the swindler Lamotte, by the $100 million necklace at stake, at a hard time when the country was facing bankruptcy and people were starving. And through it all, Lamotte held to her story, the swindler. She held to her story that the queen was behind it all and had the necklace. So the swindler was indubitably a very gifted con artist. She really sold her story. And unfortunately, because of Marie Antoinette's reputation, she really could not escape this situation unscathed. So here's the verdict. Though Marie Antoinette had never appeared at the trial, this case put her life on trial because it really exposed the level of extravagances that she engaged in. Many jurors could believe, based on her past spending and loose lifestyle, that Marie Antoinette was perfectly capable of these activities, perhaps had some complicity. But the trial ended with the cardinal acquitted of the charge of lèse-majesté. Lamotte was found guilty, the swindler, as the thief, and she was imprisoned. She was also publicly flogged and branded. And as she struggled against the branding iron, the poker actually slipped and impaled her. And she lived through that. But she hurled imprecations for all to hear. It is the queen who should be branded, not me. So there was doubt cast on the queen's name, even then. Now, within the year, Lamotte escaped to London. With her husband, they enjoyed the money from the diamond necklace. Now it was all broken up and sold off. And she also took to the quill to spread malicious rumors about Marie Antoinette. The quill meaning just writing, public writing. So, now we get to the revolution. The queen's increasing role in national disgrace weakened the position of Louis in the monarchy. Her presence galvanized and emboldened the opponents of the regime. When Marie Antoinette learned of the necklace affair, she instinctively insisted on a public trial to avenge the offense to her honor. No one could have imagined how her act of hubris or overconfidence, arrogance, would trigger the catastrophic upheaval of revolution in the 7 years that followed. In the ultimate role reversal, the hunter became the prey, and 1793 saw the final destruction of Marie Antoinette, humbled, humiliated, and finally beheaded by her own subjects. The years of revolution took everything away from Marie: her palaces, her jewels, her servants, her fine clothes, her friends, and her family. Gone was her beauty and finery, in which she took such pride, and all the trappings of her once fabulous life. And in the end she was alone. She was taken from her prison cell as a poor broken widow in her rags, old before her time, and now it was she who would be the prisoner on the dock. And she would have to answer the charges of the Revolutionary Tribunal, including the necklace case, allegations of Madame Lamotte. So, that is the end of that. I guess the question could be, is it fair to count the lifestyle